Today's lesson will be shorter than the one last week. I know last week was very long as I asked the 6 questions that you could tie to the 6 personal perspectives. But the first thing that I've been covering, and some of you may have already heard this from me if you had a coaching call with me last week, is this idea of are you an adder or are you a multiplier? And I've mentioned several times over the last few weeks here that I am deeply involved or learning, studying about the 80-20 principle, because there isn't a person on here that isn't interested in having more time and making more money. And yet most of us approach more by thinking we have to do more. And rather than talking you through that, I thought I'd just give you a really great example of it. So check this out. So all of you know the answer to this: 5 + 5 = 10, right? But the thing I want you to understand is, let's just say that your goal wasn't 10. Your goal was 25. And if you were looking at this sequence and you thought, okay, well, my goal was 25. I did 5 + 5 and got 10. How am I going to get to 25? Well, because most of us are adders and we like to do things on our back instead of our brain, here's what we're going to do is we're going to go 5 + 5 + 5 + 5 + 5 = 25. So we're going to look at our current approach and we're going to add 3 more 5s, and lo and behold, we get to 25, right? And yet the challenge with this is that it exhausts you. It takes so much from you that the payoff doesn't seem worth it. And so the thing that I'm encouraging you to start thinking about or thinking through is, when you're approaching a goal, approach it like you're a multiplier, not an adder. Because if you take this same thing and you look at that plus sign and just turn it a quarter turn, 5 × 5 = 25, and now you can hit your goal. And I know that at first glance, this can be overly simplistic. I totally understand that. But the question that I want you to be asking yourself first are, what are the activities that create multiples? What are the activities that create multiples? If 80% of the results that you're getting in your life right now are coming from 20% of your activities, how do we get 80% of your time invested in the 20%? So where am I adding and I should be multiplying is the first question that I really want you all to start thinking through. And the second thing that I want you to understand, and this is, I think, a really great lesson no matter who you are or where you are, is it's not just about multiplying results. Because what I've come to know is that success is really all about facts and feelings. That's it. What are the facts of my success and how do I feel about them? And I think it's really interesting because if you have a person who, let's say they're a first-generation immigrant who, had to go through the trials and tribulation of becoming a U.S. citizen, and then they step into the real estate industry and they're making $100,000 a year, and they're able to bring their family over legally, and they've bought a house and they've established a homestead, right? And they make $100,000 a year, but man, do they feel fulfilled. They feel like, I have lived out my life's mission. Well, contrast that person to somebody who maybe they're earning $1 million a year and they were born on second base, but they don't really know it. And they walk around constantly comparing themselves to the guy or gal who's making $5 million a year. And so they're making all this money, but they feel like shit about it. Now, who would you rather be? And so what I really want you to understand is that you have facts about your own success, how much money you make, the things that you ultimately get to do with your time, how you get to give, whatever that is. There are certain facts. But what really matters is how you feel about it. And I do believe this to be true. I've experienced it in my own life, and I've watched it play out in many of yours, that we have a sophisticated home inspector in our heads that is constantly manufacturing new problems. And once we hit a certain level, right, of achievement, I remember when making $100,000 a year, I thought, oh my God, I will have made it. 100 grand a year, oh my God. And now, I mean, and a few of you could probably attest to this, if I was making 100 grand, I'd be freaking out, right? And yet I don't really feel any different from making more money. It doesn't actually make me any happier. And I think most of you, if you unpack that, you feel the same way. Jay Papasan turned me on to this idea, and it's something that's really interesting, but it's called the hedonic treadmill. The hedonic treadmill. And what happens is we top grade, right? And the top graded life is fun, but then we run on that treadmill for a little bit and we're like, oh man, okay, now I got to get on to the next treadmill. This treadmill isn't nice enough. I need a different one. And so the way out of this, I believe, is practicing gratitude. And when I say practicing, I want you to hear priming yourself with gratitude, because I don't think that for most of us left to our own devices, we catch gratitude. We don't catch it like we do a cold. You have to produce it. And one of the big ahas that I had last week is that you are always producing what you're practicing. You're always producing what you're practicing. So if you're regularly feeling anxiety, if you're regularly producing anxiety, it's because of how you're practicing. It's because of what you're practicing. And what's cool about that is it puts you in the driver's seat, and it allows you to start feeling this sense of ownership and responsibility for your life. And I came across this quote that I've been using, and a few of you will probably get this from me this week. But the quote, I had it open here. Here we go. Here's the quote, and I'll put this in the Facebook group so that you guys can have it. I'm sure many of you have already seen it, but it says, what if you woke up this morning and had only the things you thanked God for yesterday? Now, look, the word God, I'm not an overly religious person. If that word triggers you, whatever, throw that word out. But you understand the meaning behind this. And often, like I had somebody 3 or 4 weeks ago, as you all know, my favorite coaching formula, performance equals potential minus interference. And I asked that question of 0 to 10, how well are you performing, or how well are you leading yourself? And this guy said a 0. Right. And I pulled him offline and I got him on the phone. And essentially what I helped him understand is that he had blessings that he wasn't counting. And because he wasn't counting them, he wasn't feeling them. Because if you have blessings that you don't count and feel, you're no different than somebody who doesn't have them. Right. And so I just want you to start like inventorying your life and thinking about it like this. What would I be grateful for today? What would I be grateful for today if I knew it was going to be taken away tomorrow? What would I be grateful for if I knew it was going to be taken from me tomorrow if I wasn't grateful for it today? And man, I think you'll start finding some shit to be grateful for. I honestly believe that you will start analyzing and looking at your life very differently. And, I've been working on our content for August and what we're going to share this month. And one of the quotes that I came across is, well, two, actually. One is, I have people who come to me sometimes wanting to be coaches, and maybe they're not in the real estate industry. And I always kind of like try to help them figure out like, what's the specialization that you should be in? And I always ask them kind of like, well, what's the problem you like to solve? What's the mess you like to clean up? But then I came across this quote, and it says that you are most qualified to help the person you used to be. You're most qualified to help the person you used to be. And I thought, man, that's some good shit right there. Because if you want to help people, right, your tests, when passed, become your testimony. And the other quote that I heard, and I'd heard this one before, but this time it really hit me, it like punched me right in the soul, is that you will never hear from a hater who is doing better than you. You will never hear from a hater who is doing better than you. And when I first heard that, I thought, I don't know if I agree with that. But then I heard this other quote, like, or this TikTok video about it. And the guy was saying, look, you'll never have a millionaire put you down for starting a business. You'll never have a millionaire put you down for starting a business. You'll never see a bodybuilder giving someone shit for going to the gym. You'll never get hate from a hater who's ahead of you. Never. And so I trust that each and every one of you will take that into your world as just a little bit of encouragement. And I want each and every one of you to remember to count your blessings and count them, that, like, if I don't count them today, they will be gone tomorrow. And think like a multiplier instead of an adder. And especially you ladies, you need to hear this more than anyone. You need to be lazier. You guys work too hard. And I think there's this whole generation of dudes that kind of sits around waiting for women to do something for them. That shit needs to stop. And dudes, they don't want to be your moms. By the way, that's not sexy. And I'm not going to preach anymore. That stupid soapbox rolled in here. And I think it's because my man card was officially ripped away from me yesterday, because I swore I wasn't going to go see this stupid Barbie movie, and they suckered me into it yesterday. So my man card is officially gone, which sucks. But I want today to have been a message of inspiration for each and every one of you. And I hope that I've accomplished that. And I hope that you all will master the 80-20 principle. I hope that you'll count your blessings. And I want you to understand that if you're getting hate from somebody, that motherfucker is not ahead of you. They're not. So thank you for being here today. I'm sorry about my language. It just comes out. And I trust that you all are going to have an amazing week, and that I get to see all of you at Mega Camp who will be there. And go forth this week and kick ass. See you all soon. Bye-bye.